And just as a interesting point, has Tylenol ever been proven to be safe? I mean, on July 3rd in 2017, Tylenol posted on Twitter at the time, "We actually don't recommend using any of our products while pregnant. Thank you for taking the time to voice your concerns today," which was recently deleted. So, just interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. So let's talk about the evidence from laboratory animal models. If you look at that, he published this in 2014. Now, this is the first time that anybody had ever looked at how does acetaminophen affect behavior if you're exposed to it at a very early age. It's the first time anybody had looked at it in a laboratory animal. He used mice, and those of you that are looking at this carefully, you can already see what's happened, right? So if normally, let's just think about these light gray bars first. So normally what happens is that in the top diagram, if you teach mice how to run a maze to find food, it takes them about 2 days and they get really fast. They get much faster. And if you look at the bottom diagram, they just don't make mistakes. And this is what mice do for a living, and they are good at it, right? It takes them 2 days. And you can see if they were, now the exposure level here is only 2 exposures and it's 30 milligram per kilogram. That's important. Most kids that take it orally get about 15 milligram per kilogram. You say, whoa, that is close to 30. That is really close to 30. And some kids that get suppositories get 40 milligram per kilogram. And that especially happens in very young kids. So this is not a high dose of acetaminophen. And you can see that if you get the acetaminophen, and those are in the black bars, those basically inhibit the mice when they're juvenile, when they've grown up a bit. They cannot figure out how to find that food. They keep making mistakes. So it's basically caused cognitive impairment in those laboratory animals. Now, if we had this data in 1960, we never would have approved acetaminophen for use in babies and children, and probably not during pregnancy. And if they would have done experiments, they would have required long-term follow-up, which we didn't have. Like I said, the median follow-up was only 2 days. And
so you think this data alone here would have been sufficient to prevent it from being approved?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Because in the modern process, right, you test stuff in laboratory animals first.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's just how you do it, because you don't want to give anything to a child who's, that's going to cause. This is the classic definition of a severe adverse event. You change mental function in your patient for the long haul.